Where do you even start? To be honest with you, Manchester United 0, Newcastle 3. Manchester United crash out of the Carabao Cup in the fourth round against the team they defeated to win the trophy in the final last season. Back-to-back home defeats at home. Back-to-back home defeats, as I mentioned, in all competitions. Back-to-back 3-0 home defeats as well. And where do you start, realistically? Before, obviously, I'll give a quick recap of my thoughts on it. If you do wish to call in, you do have to be a member. If you wish to join the UV Members Club, you can do so. Links in the video description. It's also the pinned comment in the live chat. If you are a member and you do want to call in, all you have to do is go to the United View YouTube page, go to the community tab. The link is in there exclusively for members only. It's inexcusable. I mean, where do you realistically start? I come out of this game this evening, and I'm really worried, to be honest with you. And I'm not going to sit here this evening and say, get rid of Erik ten Hag out or anything like that, because I just don't see the point. What are we going to achieve by doing that? We're going to do the same cycle over and over and over and over again. But the reason I'm concerned is because I saw Erik ten Hag rotate. I think how many changes did he make this evening? Was it 7 or something like that? 7 changes from the weekend. And it's the same. It's still the same. The body language, the work ethic, the desire of the players is frankly pathetic. The midfield's got giant gaps for it. Defending is horrendous. Attacking is toothless. And we don't look like doing, again, anything. Manchester United this evening got outplayed by Newcastle's backup players. They only had 2 players remaining from their game at the weekend. And when I mentioned that on social media, I had people come back to me and said, well, let's not pretend that Man United haven't made changes. Really? Let's not pretend Man United haven't made changes. That was a team full of internationals that had Casemiro in it, that had Anthony in it, that had Dalot, that had Maguire, that had Lindelof, that had Mason Mount. Had Anthony Martial in. So let's not pretend that it wasn't a team filled with players that didn't have experience. This wasn't young kids that were playing out there this evening or anything like that. And then we go, oh, yeah, but they haven't played with each other that much, nor of Newcastle's team. Newcastle's team, and this again goes back to it, Newcastle's team on paper tonight is far inferior to Manchester United. But they played us off the park. And then now people will point to possession. I saw after the game, well, Newcastle had something like 38% possession. It doesn't matter. They beat us 3-0, and they were decisive. And I also look at, Erik ten Hag spoke, was it before the season or at the start of the season? We want to be the best team in transition. We can't defend transition for our lives. You look at some of the goals that they score this evening. We give the ball away. They run through the pitch and score every single time. And I worry because I see a group of players and I wonder, are they even trying for the manager at this point, realistically? Are they trying? I don't see it. I really don't see it. And once again, this is when you get into the territory of what Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville were saying at the weekend, and it's totally right. It's totally right. You take a step back, you look at some of the players that are at the club, and you say they shouldn't be here. They're not good enough. The club, it's rotting from the head down. Get rid of the owners, have a complete cultural overhaul. It's completely needed. Totally agree with that. But at the same time, on a day-to-day basis too, what is happening within that dressing room with that group of players is also completely unacceptable. It's just not good enough. And with all of that stuff going on above them, that's not an excuse to be just pathetically bad and to not run and to not try. And I'm sitting here and I'm almost dumbfounded because, again, we're doing it again. We're doing it over and over again. Player power's coming into it. The cycle continues. What was it like yesterday? We spoke about it this morning. Oh, they don't really like the training sessions and all that kind of stuff. It's starting all over again. And that's why I say don't get rid of the manager, because what is that going to achieve at this point? What is that going to achieve? What is that going to do? What are we going to bring in? De Zerbi? And then he's going to fall out with the players and he'll be gone in 18 months' time as well? Then we'll say it's someone else. And during that 18 months, we'll pick certain players out. We'll go, it's this player that's the problem. It's that player that's the problem. This player is going to be the solution. Then eventually the manager goes again and we go, right, we've got to start over again. Let's do another rebuild. We do the same every single time. And it's just incredibly, incredibly frustrating. As I mentioned, guys, if you do want to call in, members can do so. Go to the community tab The option to call in is there exclusively for members. If you do wish to join the UB Members Club, you can do so. Links in the video description. It's also the pinned comment in the live chat as well. Be sure to hit the like button. There's not a lot to like, but it helps the algorithm, and I guess it gets more people involved and possibly sharing their opinions as well, and collectively coming together to, I guess, discuss how poor and shambolic we are at the moment as well. Let's get into the calls. Let's go first to Show Ramen. Show. I mean, I'm going to probably be saying very repetitive questions to everyone this evening, so apologies. But what do you make of what we just had to witness?
These kind of performances, like you said, it's part of the cycle. I remember seeing it 2 years ago under Oli. So I'm not. It's sad. I've become kind of numb to it. I was watching the goals flying today, and I was just like, I don't know. I'm not even sad or angry, to be honest, because I'm just. At this point, it's kind of sad to watch Ten Hag. That's my kind of biggest thought out of all this, because I remember how excited I was when he was appointed. Not so much because I ever thought he was going to lead us to a title, or I don't expect any manager to do that at United, but just because I thought he might bring exciting football to us, that sort of thing. But I just think it's sad to say, and I hate saying it. I think we're kind of seeing the start of the end of Ten Hag at United. I really do. I think he's in a place now where I just don't see how he turns this around. I mean, these are not like it's not like we're losing narrowly, and some of these games you can say, you know what, if that part went that today, I can't look at today's game and say if this part of the game was different, the result would have been different. Today was just a comprehensive 3-0 defeat. Sunday was a comprehensive 3-0 defeat. The other games we've lost this season, we've deserved to lose them, and even the wins that we've had, we've not deserved to win them. And that's the thing. And, we're kind of breaking records game after. I mean, today I saw we had more captains than shots on target, which is another embarrassing one to add to the list. And it's just, I mean, like you said earlier, you rotated the squad. You'd think some of those players coming in would be hungrier, not really started recently, but just doesn't translate on the pitch. And
no, it's the same, isn't it? It's the same. Is that also, I think you raised a good point there. Is that something that's even more concerning, that you look at Ten Hag, and as you mentioned, his demeanor, obviously his demeanor is going to be down because we're losing games and we're playing badly, but it does feel like it's yet another manager that this club's like broken down, like just completely crumbled. And again, where do we even go? Where do we even go?
No, you're right. He's a broken. You look at him on the touchdown today. I mean, the camera person always does a great job of every time the goal flies in, putting it straight on Ten Hag. And you just look at him, and you're right. He's a broken man. We've broken him because people are doing this revisionism now, saying that Ten Hag has always been a fraud, a crap coach. That's rubbish. 18 months ago, he was one of the most sought-after managers in Europe. That's a fact. Let's not pretend that's not true. And the majority of Man United fans wanted this guy in. And now there's this revisionism that he was never a good coach. I saw someone sum it up perfectly. Ten Hag's not a crap coach. He's crap at recruitment. Some of his recruitment's been horrific. And that's our fault for putting him in charge of that, for not putting the structure around him so that he doesn't make signings like this. But obviously he's going to become scapegoated for that, because he wanted that responsibility, because he did ask for it. We gave it to him, and it's led to this. On top of that, we've not gotten rid of the players that we should have gotten rid of, and it leads to this. It does lead to this. We've seen it with other clubs. We saw it with Arteta and Arsenal. They suffered this same pain. But the problem is they had a process, and slowly by slowly they were getting rid of the players from the previous managers, to a point now when you look at Arsenal, and they don't have any players from the previous managers anymore. It's his squad. But we're not doing that with Ten Hag. And at the same time, obviously, the results are kind of burying him. And you look at him, you can just see, for me, the pressure's got to him massively. And I just think he doesn't know what to do. And, one of my mates said it perfectly. He goes, look, I got the same feeling as I had when Oli got sacked, where I think he's lost belief in himself. And I think when you lose belief in yourself, I just think it's hard to, and especially when you have zero support around you. It's not like, I don't get the feeling someone like John Murtaugh's providing that kind of support, or someone like Richard Arnold, or There's no one at the club around him that can help him at this point. He's literally just been left alone, like all the previous managers, and you can see it. You can see it on him, and even in the press conferences, you watch them all. Like he's not looked himself this season compared to last season.
No, he's saying. I said it the other day during the full view. He's saying wild stuff, and I think for a lot of people, that comment, the Ajax thing, we will never play like Ajax, and people have interpreted that several different ways, going, well, it means that literally we're never going to be exactly like Ajax. But I think some people that really opened their eyes by saying, oh, is he sort of abandoning maybe some of these principles that were spoken about? Because he speaks a lot about principles and rules. He certainly did last season, didn't he? And if he's saying we're never going to play like Ajax, that's that people saying, well, is he sort of abandoning his principles? And then you go back to your point you just made. You go, is he lost? Is he lost without what he does? And he just watching the games this season, and maybe you can put your tinfoil hat on. You can maybe read too much into it, but just stuff that you can't really touch, that intangible stuff. When you look at the players, the body language, it feels off. It just feels off. Like it feels like there's something underneath it bubbling that is just
it's annoying because the players are doing it again where they know if they play like this, like today, like City, like many of the games this season, there's no consequences because they know the manager goes, a new manager comes in, they can have a purple patch for a little bit, and like Dalot last season had a little purple patch, boom, 4-year contract. It doesn't have to be that. At a serious club, it wouldn't be that. But we do that where we put these players on these massive contracts. We then can't get rid of them. And the thing is, look, I think it's getting to a point now where it is becoming hard to defend Ten Hag, but at the same time, I'm like you, I don't see the point of sacking him because now the next manager is going to have Van Gaal players, Jose players, Oli players, and Ten Hag players. And you're telling me that how many years is it going to take to get rid of those 4 managers' players? What, 8? You want to talk about 7, 8 years? Because when we signed Anthony, I think we signed him on a big contract.
Yeah.
Mount, we gave a 5-year contract to.
Yeah.
We just gave Rashford a 5-year contract. We just gave Bruno a 4-year contract. Dalot 4-year contract. Luke Shaw 4-year contract. We're about to accept Wan-Bissaka's. Maguire's still got a year and a half left. McTominay, I'm going through these players one. How are you going to get rid of them? So we're talking about getting rid of the players first, and we're going to get rid of another manager yet again before the players. Yeah. So then what's the point? You're not going anywhere. You're going round and round the roundabout in the cycle.
Yeah. Totally agree. Big up Show Rowan for calling in. Let's get to the super chats. There's lots of people calling in this evening, so I want to get to as many people as possible. John says, can't grow good seeds in bad soil. We poison talent. And Lucas says, the title of this says it all. It's looking worse. And that's the problem. It is getting worse. I've seen people in the chat say, it's just Carabao Cup. But it wasn't just a Carabao Cup when we won it last season. And it's the manner of the defeat. When you're Manchester United and you lose back-to-back home games 3-0, that's unacceptable. It's just not good enough. And again, the manner of the defeat too. They didn't have as much of the ball as we did, but they controlled the game. They were better than us. And again, it's just not good enough. Let's go to another call. Let's go to Amanor. Amanor, what are your thoughts on all of that?
Hi, Owen. My reaction, I feel numb. I know. I just feel numb. Sorry, you probably wanted more interactive, but I just want to say that usually
that's what a lot of people feel like, to be honest. I think that the word numb is probably a word that a lot of people are using when it comes to all of this, particularly when it gets to 2-0 and then it's 3-0 and then you get to a point where you start getting angry, and you just sort of shrug because that's what it's like.
And I've just made some notes just before I come in the call. And so on my emotions about how I feel about this game, I've said this before to Flex on a super chat. I think United have lowered Erik ten Hag's standards and ambitions rather than the way around. Because when Erik ten Hag came in, he must have had ambition in terms of these are the players he wants, this is the style he wants to play, this is the philosophy he wants to play. He's come in. Genuinely is. I can't think of a better word than toxic. It is a toxic football club, which has impacted his ambitions, the way he wants to play football. And like you said, Owen just now when he spoke to show, that the fact he said I'm not compared to play an Ajax style football, that suggests to me that he's almost abandoned his philosophy. The reason why I bought him in was his philosophy or style of play, and he's abandoned that for me to save his job. And I think he's lost now. I actually think in his mind, in terms of how I'm going to coach these players, who I'm going to select, who are my best players. I actually don't. I think he's just muddled up. He hasn't got that clear strategy in his mind that he had, say, 6 months ago. And I
Yeah.
feel sorry for him. I just think he's probably a good coach. If he was if he was another big club with sorry, another club not as toxic as this, but as big as this. Say, for example, I want to say Arsenal or Arsenal's a good one. I think he'd do well, but because it's Manchester United and the toxicity of this club, he's succumbing to the pressure. So that's my reaction to that. And I don't know what you think about those points, Rowan. Before I go on.
No, I agree. I think I've been saying this for a while, to be honest, and I don't think Eric Ten Hag is any different from the fact of I think any manager we would have got or we will get, I don't see how he can succeed in this environment with
Yeah,
the structure above him, with some of the players and the power that they have at this club as well. Because when push comes to shove, again, the cycle repeats itself, and the cycle is the grumblings, the moanings about the training, about the way he talks to the players, about the communication, they're authoritarian, and then performances start to drop. Then the dressing room gets toxic, and then the club decide, well, we've got to try and save the season because there's money on the line, because there's European football on the line. Then it becomes a cash decision, and eventually they decide to go. But I think at this stage, because we've done it so many times, I really don't see the benefit anymore. Like I don't, because who would you get, and what
no, no,
difference would they make? Maybe initially they might make there might be a bit of a
yeah.
boost, but long term we find ourselves in the same position.
You're right. And the thing that sort of, when I said to you I felt numb, I was just trying to think about something I could say to you in terms of put a bit of a philosophy to this. You know what, Ranić, when he said the club needs to open heart surgery, I thought it was
Mm,
quite reactionary. I thought it was just him like a passing shot. And Eric Ten Hag would be the person who would, who said, actually, we don't need open heart surgery. We just need minor incisions here and there. But I think we do need open heart surgery. And I think Ten Hag is realizing that now.
yeah,
Um, and the fact that when Ten Hag came in and Ranić was given the opportunity to work with him, but Ten Hag said no, that could have been the first mistake in his downfall. You were talking about direct football. He hasn't got that support structure in place. He's in charge of recruitment. I think I blame Ten Hag for that, but I actually don't, because he probably when he signed the dotted line to join the club, he probably said, "Look, I want to be in charge of transfers. I want to be well, not in charge of transfers, but I have significant influence on transfers. I want to dictate this and that." And for that reason, I think United accepted those conditions. But in
mm,
hindsight, maybe probably that wasn't the wisest thing to do, for me
yeah, yeah.
personally.
Yeah, yeah,
But
and let's face it, maybe even United said to him, "Look, Ralph's going, so you're not working with him anyway."
yeah,
For some of the things that he said, perhaps. So I don't know. Do you see any way of him sort of rectifying this, or a bit like Show was saying? Do you worry that we're heading into that territory? Look, he's not going to get sacked tomorrow or anything like that, but we're into that sort of end game territory where we know what direction this is heading in.
I think we're now at the point of no return. The way I phrase that to you, Owen, is I've looked at those players tonight. He did change the team, so he dropped. We shouted for Bruno should be dropped, Rashford should drop, which they did. These new players coming like Mount, Amrabat, Casemiro. I feel I'm maybe clutching at straws here. I think either the players are down tooling a little bit, or the players are hear his instructions but not processing in it, either because they can't be bothered or they're just not capable of. It's one of those three things, and I'm not sure which one. Is it down tooling or they just can't follow Ten Hag's instructions? Either way, he's not in control of the football dynamics of that change room, and I think I think this is the beginning of the end.
Yeah.
I genuinely do.
Yeah, that's my concern as well, certainly. Big up Amanor for calling in. Appreciate the call. I think there's going to be a lot of that this evening. I think there's going to be a lot of that kind of feeling, that kind of numbness, that kind of sentiment as well. Let's go to another call. Let's go to Pav. Pav, well, we were debating earlier on, weren't we? We were debating
How you
earlier
doing,
on.
man?
Honestly, where do you start with all of that? Do you feel
Look,
justified? Does your case become stronger? Or do you have an element of sympathy after seeing, with everything that's going on?
look, I kind of feel sorry for the guy, yeah, but I saw things going bad from last season after the Carabao Cup. It like the team didn't look good, but we scraped to third, just about. And then coming to pre-season, I thought, let's see who we sign. Let's have a look at pre-season. I didn't like the pre-season at all. I don't know why we were playing 2 games back to back, trying to gain profitability off a pre-season. The manager should have been focusing on the first team squad, not going out with the youngsters just to play another team to sell out match tickets and whatnot. I didn't like that at all. And then the Wolves game come up, it didn't look good. And as the games kept going by, I kept seeing things happening that I wasn't happy with. And I called it out at the time on KG show. And people were telling me, oh, you're flip flopping, you're back the manager and all that. But I was like, I'm not happy with what I'm seeing. And now we've come to this point where I've had enough of the players. I've had enough with everyone above the squad, the coaching staff, everything. I've had enough. I'm not even angry anymore. Like, if we're going to get rid of the guy, just get rid of the guy, put him out of his misery, because the guy looks like he hasn't slept in about 2 weeks. I looked at his face today. He looks miserable.
Yeah,
right?
No, I agree. It's funny you mentioned that, Pau, actually, because I remember doing after a couple of the preseason games, I did a couple of fan views. I can't remember which game specifically, but I remember saying after a couple of them going like, this, like, as you said, I went, this is bad. Like, this isn't good. And you get the usual pushback if you get the whole, it's preseason, it's not about the performances, rah, rah, rah. But as I think you're right when you say, look, it's not as if this hasn't been overnight, has it? Certainly. This has been
gradually
ongoing,
worse. And
it's getting worse, certainly.
You and Flex mentioned this morning about rock bottom. With this club, rock bottom doesn't exist because it can always get worse. We might think it's the worst thing happening to us as a club, but the following week it could be even worse. That's the thing. Rock bottom doesn't exist for this club. Like, it's literally rotten. The whole thing is rotten. And our chance of salvation left when Sheikh Jassim pulled out. Like, even if Jim Ratcliffe can come in with the guy that he's bringing in, Dave, even if they have good intentions, there's always going to be a big issue. Glaze interference. This is why the club will never get back to where we'll go. Like, I could sit on like KG's channel, be reckless and all that, but like, this is serious talk. Like, we've had so many chances as a fan base to do something about this, and we haven't done it. And protests don't work or anything. We've had so many chances since 2005 to do something, and those chances have all gone. And our biggest chance to do something has literally just passed us now. And like, even with Ten Hag, there is issues with this. Like, he's not a bad manager, but he's made really bad decisions, right? And when you make these bad decisions and you don't rectify or change certain decisions you make the following week, the following game, and you're favouring certain players, like, the fans are no longer entitled to give you their support. And then he has to bear the consequences.
Yeah.
And I believe he's lost the leverage over the fans, because now the media and the players are throwing him under the bus. We're seeing it every single day, certain quotes coming out, and he's lost all leverage he has. So, in my opinion, for his sake, for his own sake, the club should just sack him. And we will never get a manager. I literally thought this guy was going to turn things for us as a club, but we'll never get a manager again who could turn things around for us, because every 2 seasons these players will do the same thing to any other manager. So for me, you might as well just bring in a mediocre manager. If we're going to play mediocre football, we're not going to have a style of football. These players don't care. Most of them just want to build a PR brand over the back of our club. So why do we need a top manager?
Well, this is why I agree with you. I think
after Casemiro and Varane, we will never have a world-class player at this club for a very long time. They're the last 2 world-class players we're ever going to have at this club.
This is why I agree with you when, with all that stuff that comes out about Ineos and the 25% and this football committee. And I remember saying this, saying that I'm uncomfortable with any Glazer involvement, because if they're still overall the majority shareholders and they'll have veto power, and people go, yeah, but they're going to come in, they're going to change the sport and control and all this kind of stuff. But you still say to yourself, but still, like, as you mentioned. Exactly. And that's when I sympathize for Ten Hag, or whoever replaces him in the future, or even the managers of the past, because you say, like, it's impossible to, especially if you compare yourself to Sir Alex, it's impossible to get anywhere near that level of success or just win a title under this structure. I just don't see it's feasible. And so when people say, "Oh, get into Zerbi," what's he going to do?
None of these managers
What's
should
he
be
going to
coming
do?
in. If they've got any principle, they'll do what Klopp and Pep do and refuse the job offer. The only people who are going to come here are desperate for money, who don't really care, because there's a certain manager out there who likes to get money from clubs and then get sacked after a year. And I fear we're going to end up with that guy, Antonio Conte. That guy is free. I don't want him at the club. But I think if we're going to play crap football, you're going to make the fans just sit there and watch this sort of football every single week. Just go get a mediocre manager, a bang average manager. Just sit there, play this long ball football you want to do, because clearly these players can't listen to managers and implement a style of football or do the basics. We're not even doing the basics, bro.
Yeah, that's what it
We've
is
seen a
tonight.
handful. I've seen a handful of games since Eric Ten Hag's come in. He's to blame as well, but the players
Yeah, exactly.
are to blame the mostly, because you've done this. Like Rashford's been there under 6 managers, including the interims, and I've seen nothing from you that's other than last season for me to call you a top class player, because you're not a top class player. Since Bruno's come in, he's regressed. His best season was under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for the first 6 months, and ever since then he's been regressing every single season. And where's Maguire's stats now? I thought we're supposed to be winning when this guy's playing.
Yeah.
Are we winning?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I want to see the media bring that up this week.
I
want to see the new stats with Maguire playing. Like, we're finished, bro. And it's sad. Like, our good times, I believe it's over. I don't know how long it's going to be before we can ever get there again, if we ever will. But
yeah, well, certainly.
But I'm gonna leave you to the next caller.
Yeah.
I'll speak to you again, mate.
Yeah, big up Pav for calling there, man. He got, you know what? It's Vader-like, actually. Started off evil today, and towards the end, he's good. He's a necessary evil. Big up Pav for calling in. Excellent call there as well. How many likes are we currently on? We've got nearly 1,000 people watching. I know there's not a lot to like about, but it's free. And you know what I mean? Click the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well. All that fun stuff. Let's go to another call. Let's go to Sean. Sean, I mean, sometimes you come on, you talk tactics and stuff like that. I don't even know if we can talk tactics. I mean, I think we've got to talk bigger picture. What are your thoughts on Ten Hag? What are your thoughts on everything that we've been watching?
You've hit the nail right on the head, Owen. We can talk about tactics till the cows come home, but at the same time, I'm extremely gutted today. I have to go to work in 6 hours, and honestly, I don't think I can make it, because I have been fuming. I've gone through all 5 stages of grief today, and all I can say is, there's no structure at this football club, Owen. From top to the bottom, you look at probably from the under-21 players, to the manager, to the board, to the owners we have, which I'm not even going to spare words for. We are broken as a club, and I have been trying to be positive for a long time. I remember talking to you after the 1-0 winning his Copenhagen, saying that, you know what, maybe if we turn up 200% against City, we can win it. We can't win any game if the players turn up 60%. There's no effort. There's no tackle. And I remember that meme from Roy Keane. Well, it's not a meme anymore. When he said that, you know what I'll do? I want to smash into somebody just to make me feel better. I couldn't see that in anyone apart from Hannibal Mejbri, an academy graduate. And that needs to show you everything that it needs to do. And I mean, I've listened to all the rants from all your callers, and I agree with all of them. But it's just, it's peak. It's peak, mate. It's peak.
Yeah, certainly it is. I mean, how do you feel about what some of the other people have been saying when it comes to Ten Hag, saying, look, he's by no means innocent involved in all of this. When some of the decisions he's been making, some of the things he's been saying are going to hurt him. But do you have, this element of sympathy as well, where you're saying, this guy looks broken. We've broken down another manager. We're doing the same cycle all over again. Nobody can succeed. Is there an element of sympathy that you have with Ten Hag at the moment?
Absolutely, I do. He was my first choice for a really long time. I really wanted Erik Ten Hag at the football club. And he was the first manager, apart from Jose Mourinho, who I really felt had the capacity to take Man United back to where we belong. But he's been let down again, not just by the Glazers, but also by the recruitment structure below them, and by every hierarchical foundation that has been above him. He's been let down. And I think one of your callers said before that last season there was an oomph about him. He was going to press conferences, being confident, being arrogant, but to a good way. This season he just seems broken. And I remember me personally feeling the same way about Jose but I knew the reason. I knew the reason was he wasn't given his players. But I think Erik Ten Hag has got his players. I think there is an inherent discord I don't know whether it's between the players and the manager, whether it's been between the manager and the board, whether it's between all of them. It's all a complete spiderweb of discontent. But he doesn't feel the same way, and I will back him. And I keep saying that. Look, I mean, I don't want to bring up Mikel Arteta all over and over again, but I think Erik ten Hag did have a proper style of play in the first season, so I think that argument is moot. At the same time, my family are season ticket owners, and I remember them talking about how difficult it was to watch Sir Alex's football until '88. We were really bad until then, and honestly, if social media would have existed, Sir Alex wouldn't have had a job past the '89 season. So my point is, we can go the cycle. We can get in De Zerbi. We can get in Graham Potter if Jim Ratcliffe comes in. We can get in somebody else, but the same problems will persist, Owen. It's going to be good after a season and a half, possibly, but then it's all going to fall down. It's all going to crumble. And we as fans, we don't deserve that anymore. So whatever the course of action is, we need to do something, because this won't get better. People keep saying this is a rock bottom. It's far from it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the worry, isn't it? Thinking about how low it could actually go, certainly. Just before we move on to another call, do you think the players, I mean, because he rotated tonight and we've wanted him to rotate and change players, but the outcome is still the same. Do you think these players are still playing for him at the moment? Or do you think, then again, like a lot of people are saying, we're into sort of end game territory here where maybe some of these players have just kind of given up on him? Do you think the players, he still has them on his side? What do you think?
I think he has most of the players on his side. I think the problem with today was less to do with the players not playing for Ten Hag, because I remember in the first 15 minutes, we had enthusiasm, we had intensity, we were closing them down. But at the same time, it goes to show that when Eddie Howe plays a second string team, given the list of injuries that them have got, it is tremendous. But they still gave the effort. They had a pattern of playing. You could see what they were doing on the flanks. You could see what they were doing in the center. I think the current squad right now is a mismatch between what Erik ten Hag ideally wants to play and what has been left from the previous regime. So I think there's a real discord in tactical and technical analysis. I think most importantly, there's a big problem in the mental structure of these players. Even if Garnacho comes on, even if I won't blame Hannibal for effort, but even if Mason Mount comes on, you can see that there's a hesitance, there's a lack of confidence in order to do what they want to. I remember Mason Mount at Chelsea being an excellent second place player, where he could turn with the ball, even against the best of teams, and bring it out and go transition. I remember Garnacho even against the best of teams doing that. I don't think it's the fact that these players or some others are not playing for the manager. It might happen in a couple of matches if this continues, but I think it's a real lack of confidence in the tactical instruction, whether it's from the manager, from the coaches, or just from themselves, whether they've been told to do, but just to get the ball in the final third and do whatever they want, because we still have the highest number of balls we've regained from really high positions, but we're just clueless in order to what to do with it. When even Newcastle, with Anthony Gordon playing a centre forward, they knew of a way. I think he had a good game, and that is difficult to say from an Everton reject. So that's the point. At the end of the day, I don't think they're not playing for him, but there's a real discord. I keep mentioning the word, Owen. I think it's very important to mention there's discord within the club. There's discontent. The club is not swinging the right way, quite the opposite, and it's affecting everyone.
No, totally agree. Totally agree. Big up, Sean, for calling in. And it's interesting, certainly this evening. I think a lot of people sort of saying similar things in the sense of, it's getting worse. There's sympathy for Ten Hag. There's also frustration with him as well. And it's frustration with everything. And there's numbness as well, certainly too. It's everything. It certainly is everything. Let's go to Riri. Riri, what are your thoughts on what we saw tonight?
Hi, Owen. Good night.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
To be honest, this season I haven't been watching Man U with any expectation. I'm an American, so my outlook on certain things are different from you guys across the pond. I'm just as passionate as a Man U fan, but I sometimes get frustrated with the fans over there because Erik ten Hag there are certain things he is to blame for, but then there are other things that the players are to blame for. And I notice a lot of the fan base you know, the first thing they want to do is sack the manager when
Yeah.
things don't go right. And for me, I've been saying for a lot of years now that some of these players need to go. Some of these players are like, let's take Marcus Rashford, for instance. Marcus Rashford had a 30-goal season last year. They then subsequently re-signed him to this big contract. And now all of a sudden, you can't find him on the pitch. But in his head, psychologically, he's like, well, I'm on a whatever contract. I don't, you know, if I'm not psychologically there, I can't get sacked. I can't get traded right now, you know, so I'm going to just go through the paces until I get back where I need to get back from. But in doing that, he's a detriment to the team on the pitch right now. And in saying that, Eric Ten Hag, for some reason, has his favorites. And that's one of his major negatives. Because he keeps playing them even though they're not producing.
Yeah.
Today, yes, he definitely switched up the team. But I think like 2 games ago, Bruno and Marcus should have been on the bench. You know what I mean? It shouldn't have had, you know, Anthony has not proven himself at all since coming to this club. I'm sorry to say. He doesn't impress me. He's not worth 80 million. You know, but he still gets playing time down that right-hand side. We have Facundo on the bench. At least give him a couple of run of games. See what he can do. Don't bring him in, and then when he doesn't gel with the other players right away, you pull him out, you yank him out, and you don't play him for 4 or 5 games. Or, you know, give him a run of games. Let's see what he can actually do. Because Anthony is getting game after game, and he's not doing anything on that right-hand side. Nothing.
Absolutely. Is this when? So you mentioned about this, so the players that shouldn't be at the club. Is this when it gets into the territory of, you know, no manager can realistically succeed at Manchester United?
Yes, because somebody said in the chat, like somebody actually said in the chat, if Pep Guardiola had to manage this team, he'd probably grow hair. And I think they're right. I actually think they're right. Because like all the callers, you know, like you said, all the callers that before me, they're saying the things that any intellectual fan can see. Nobody's saying that Eric Ten Hag, you know, doesn't have faults and that he needs to change certain things about his coaching tactics. I 100% agree, but it's not all on him. It wasn't all on Jose. It wasn't all on Van Gaal. It wasn't all on David Moyes. It's not always all on the manager. These players have to step up and they have to own their shit. Pardon my language.
Absolutely. No, we're late. You can say whatever you want. No, that's true. But do you think that's part of the problem too, is that they know that when push comes to shove, it's going to be the manager that goes?
Most definitely. See, the difference here in the United States, like for American football, if a player is not performing, they trade his ass. He gets traded like that. Like he's out like that. If you're not performing 2-3 games, you get a phone call saying, oh, you're traded to XYZ. So it's a lot different for, you know, the real football where these players are under these contracts and they do all kinds of crap, but they don't get traded right away. You know, they tend to ride out their contract. Look at Phil Jones. Phil Jones was at our club for God knows how long, getting paid and not playing. You know, that's the difference. Like they know their position is somewhat secure.
Somewhat. It's absolutely, definitely secure, isn't it? And that's the worry that people have with some of these players that, you know, like Dallo, just new contract.
Yeah, like today, those 2 goals. I'm sorry, for me, I don't know about anybody else, but for me, those 2 goals are on Dallo. Those 2 first goals are on Dallo. Like, yes, Garnacho lost the ball, but if you look at it, Dallo wasn't running.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And now he's with us for, was it 5 years, something like that?
5 years, yes. That's what I'm saying. Like it, you know, again, like I said, I hear what everybody's saying about Eric Ten Hag, but how many managers are we going to change expecting them to come in and you got to give this man time. If you guys last year, I remember when everybody, because I don't know much about him because I didn't follow IX football, but when I was listening to you guys on United View and you were talking to Ajax and all of them, and the way they were speaking about this guy, and you guys were talking about a rebuild doesn't take 1 year. A rebuild doesn't take 2 years. He has, like you guys are saying, he has players that are from Van Gaal's time. Martial is from Van Gaal's time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In order to rebuild this team and get it to where it needs to be, you have to give this man time. You can't call for his head, because then, like the previous caller said, then you might as well just put a mediocre manager in there and just call it what it is.
No, I totally agree. Finally, before we get to another call, Riri, where do you think this one does go from here with Ten Hag? You're saying about giving him time, and I totally agree with you. The question is, do you think he's going to get that time?
I don't like
are we heading down a path of toxicity?
No, I think these players have thrown so many managers under the bus, and the fact that we're probably looking like we're not going to make Europa or Champions League next year, and the Glazers, I'm an American, and them suckers about money. You know what I mean? They're about money. So it's going to be quite unfortunate that I think he's going to be the one to, unless this whole agreement with Jim Ratcliffe comes into fruition quickly, and they can literally come in and like start to just, take certain responsibilities away from him. So all he has to focus on is the coaching aspect of it. I definitely foresee him. It's not going to be anytime soon, but if it continues going like this, he might not last till Christmas.
Yeah, that's my worry too. Certainly, that's my worry too. Big up, Riri. Brilliant call. That really enjoyed that call. I think that's the first time Riri's called it as well to the full-time view. Excellent. Let's show the love for Riri in the chat. Be sure to smash a like on the like button as well while you're at it. A couple of super chats here. Let's go to Josie. Says, need to stop asking if players are getting coached and start asking, are they coachable? Ollie's coach is thriving and Erik Ten Hag is a proven coach. So people have been pointing that out. People have been saying Kieran McKenna, top of the championship. Michael Carrick didn't have the best start to the season, but did very, very well last season and is turning things around again. With Middlesbrough, they're through the Carabao Cup quarterfinals and we're not. So I think that's a good point, Joe. Deng says, I'm not a Man United fan, Arsenal, but my wife is. Sorry, manager, not good enough. Man United identity is lost. It's not the same United from back then. Certainly a lot of people are saying is, are we ever going to get back to the Man United then? I don't know. I don't know, certainly, if we are. But big up to your wife. Not you, Deng, though. I think it might be time. Let's see if... let's go to Charles. Charles, I mean, hopefully the StreamYard gods are with you this evening. The footballing gods certainly are not. What did you make of everything that we saw?
Get this guy out of the club. Get him out. Pack his bags.
Really? Are you really? Yeah, so you're saying, okay, well, let's take that, because there will be people that will share your opinion with you. What happens if he leaves? Like, what fundamentally changes and improves if Erik Ten Hag is sacked?
There's a new manager in the hot seat.
Obviously,
that's what changed. That's what changes. There's a new manager in the hot seat, and we can see what he can do. Simple.
Can any manager do anything?
We don't know.
In this,
we don't know. We can't see the future.
We do. We do, though, Charles. We do.
The thing is, we're going around in circles because we're saying give this guy time. We've let managers go that had more pedigree than he has because they were not good enough. We were shouting here, give Ollie time, give Ollie time. Ollie got 2.5 years. At the end of the day, we all came up and said, this brother has no tactics. But we all sang Ollie at the wheel. We all said, give him time. He can do it. This season, we can see that this guy is not getting better. We've lost 14 out of 15 games. And I say 14 out of 15 because we haven't played well in any game except one, the Carabao Cup game. We have one more than that, though. You can't just say that because we have. Which game did we play good in?
Oh, that's a different topic. I mean, I'm being pedantic here, but we did win those games.
No, see, that's why I said we I say 14 out of 15 games lost because we have only played well in one of those games. The rest we have scammed. We are Manchester United. We have a whole squad of about what? 31 players or so. I don't know what Marcel was saying. When every single person is poor, it's not the players. The other sister was on the show just now. She said in the NFL, when a player is playing bad, they trade him. Yes, they trade a player, not the whole team. They don't trade 30 people. We cannot trade 30 people. We really cannot. This guy has even signed what, 13?
I don't know how many players. It's
Okay.
double figures, certainly.
Okay, double figures. But we can't see any play style. He has signed double figure players, but there is unrest in the dressing room. Who in the dressing room isn't an Eric Ten Hag player?
Oh, there's quite a few of that aren't Eric Ten Hag players.
List.
Okay, well, people that were brought in during that time. I mean, Riri mentioned Anthony Martial, was brought in by Louis van Gaal.
Hold on 1 second. Who did Eric Ten Hag champion last season as his striker? Who did Eric Ten Hag say we play good football with him playing? So cancel Martial out.
Then. Okay, then Harry Maguire.
Harry Maguire. Who did Eric Ten Hag say he benched Varane to accommodate?
Yeah, but also who did he try and sell in the summer? Harry Maguire.
Yes, he tried to sell him, but we all know if Eric Ten Hag wants to force somebody out of the club, most times they leave. How do you try to sell somebody and then all of a sudden he is your first choice?
What, Harry Maguire?
If he's not in your plans,
that's injury dependent, though. That's injury dependent, though. In fairness, let's face it. If we had a fully fit back four, Harry Maguire's not playing.
We don't know that. Harry Maguire,
we do, because we had a fully fit back four last season. He didn't play him.
When we had a fully fit back four this season, Harry Maguire still came in every 60th minute for
yeah, he wasn't starting. He wasn't playing.
He wasn't starting, but he was still playing. If he's not in his plans at all, he won't play. Eric Ten Hag does this.
In some of those earlier games, he didn't come on.
He has come on for at least 5 games. Before the international break, he was coming on. That's what even gave him chance to go and say 96% win rate.
Because remember, with the first international break, the only time he kicked the ball was when he came on against Arsenal, wasn't it?
Still came on, bro.
Yeah, because both our centre backs got injured.
Who got injured?
When we played against Arsenal, when we had, was it Martinez and Varane? They both came off, did they not? Martinez and Martinez as well. Since then they've both been injured.
And then since Martinez wasn't even good before he got injured. That's another problem.
Because he was injured. Clearly, the surgery he had, that's why he had another surgery.
Bro, that's just excuses we're making. He was
on,
poor,
Charles, man. You can't be like, he's rubbish. Then he had surgery because his foot was bad.
Bro, the thing is, he was rubbish. Now it's come out, okay, he had an injury. We don't know if it was disturbing him prior. We don't know. All we know is Lisandro Martinez so far this season has been poor. Every single player you can think of this season has been poor. Everybody says we've had injuries. Right now, the people we are waiting on are defenders. The attack is doing nothing, by the way. We're waiting for defenders to come in to help the attack. This is the same thing I said last season regarding De Gea. Everybody told me, bring in Onana, our attack will improve. We brought in Onana, and somehow, some way, we're scoring less. We are waiting for Lisandro Martinez to come back, who is a centre back, to complete a squad. This guy has signed Amrabat. He benched him for who? Scott McTominay. These are his signings that he's putting on the bench for players that he says he doesn't want. That doesn't make any sense. Then people say he has lost the dressing room. Why won't you lose the dressing room? Look at how he is moving. He is starting players no matter what they do, leaving others on the bench. Anybody that's on the bench right now, looking at that team, they're like, these guys are playing shit. And I know I'm only going to come in for 5 minutes. Even today, you could actually see it. Once we considered a goal, everybody was like, nah, man, this is dead. And they just started walking. This is the second team players that were running for this guy, running for a chance to get in the team. Today, they look like, bro, I know even if I score today, I'm not playing Saturday. We say players are down in tools. Is he encouraging them to stay sharp? Is he? No.
Well, I think he is. I think
How?
he is because he said with Marcus Rashford, he said, "How do you encourage him?" I said, "I play him every game." So
Bro.
I think he is encouraging him. Anyway, Charles, look, we've got a million calls. I'm going to have to get to another call. I'm rapidly running out of time. But you say sack Erik ten Hag, yes?
Sack him yesterday.
I mean, let us know after the fact. If you're watching this after the fact, let us know your favorite call and your least favorite call, because I think Charles might have lost. To be honest with you, let's go. So we've still got quite a few calls. I'll try and get to as many as I can. Let's go to GJE. GJE, what are your thoughts on all of that? And do you want to respond to Charles? Tension. The response. GJE. It was the opportunity. It was the chance. Stunned into silence. GJE by Charles there. Let's go to Tiger. Tiger. I mean, are we going to hear you roar this evening? What are your thoughts on what we saw?
It's quite a bit. I'm calling from the U.S. and I've been supporting United since I was a kid, back when everyone was still playing Poborski, Lee Sharp.
Nice. Yes.
Yeah, I've been watching them since time. So a lot of people, when they're like, "Oh, United support," I've been watching them since time. This, it's hard because the thing is, United. A lot of people say United don't have a structure, and United actually do have a structure. But the structure that United have are more so a business structure, and it's not a footballing structure, right? Now, you look at and our owners are American. I'm American, so I can tell you two types of American businessmen with billions. Okay, there's two types. There's the type that want to see their business succeed, so they put the right individuals who are the top of their class in the right areas to do the right things for them. And then you have the billionaire businessmen who are kind of like, well, I got friends, he kind of did this, and I got my boys and my family, and I'll put them where they need to go. Not necessarily because they're good, but just because, they're my family, they're my friends. And that's what we have with the Glazers. So you can start at the top. The boardroom are all Glazers, and these are American businessmen. They grab businesses to build their CV most times. Right. It's not necessarily to say I want to see Manchester United flourish. Now, Manchester United has flourished brand equity wise, and that's by design, which is amazing, right? Thanks to Mr. Woodward, but that's still, neglecting the football portion. So the boardroom is full of Glazers, all individuals, never played soccer, don't like soccer or football, right? For those across the pond, never played, don't know much about it, don't really have a passion for it. So why would they give a fuck how the team is rolling and the direction it's going? Why would they care, right? And so if you continue going down, now you have a boardroom of individuals who aren't really, invested like we are as fans, right? So how do you expect, managers to get the players that they want, to get the players out that they want, to ask for big wages? Because the board's going to look at it not from a football standpoint to see the football structure and the footballing portion of the club flourish. They're just going to look at it from a business standpoint. So that's where the board has fault, the owners have fault, and then from the owners down, because I said they're structured like a business and not like a football club, right? So your recruiting is shit, trainers are shit. People getting hurt.
when it comes to the players,
and you keep going down.
Yeah, I mean, that's
I'm getting there. Right? So then you go down, and then you continue going down, right? So they try to find a manager who they feel is going to take them, but the manager still has to answer, for the most part, to this board, once again, that we circle around to, that isn't football competent. They're not football competent. Ten Hag had control over, his transfers and who he wanted to sign. Yes, I give him that. So in that regard, yes, Ten Hag needs to take responsibility for those signings. Ten Hag needs to take responsibility for the strategy behind those signings, right? But then you continue to go down. So there's where the structure has fault. There's where the manager has fault. Then you get to the players. When you're on 350 bags a week and you are not getting dropped and your play has not improved, but you are still not getting dropped, there is no motivation for you to get better. Now you could say, yes, they were dropped today, but it's almost like, too little, too late. We've already lost to Man City. We're getting our asses handed to us all season long. The footballing structure is not there. So some people say, oh, sack Ten Hag. Okay, fine, sack Ten Hag. Go ahead. The board is not competent enough to know how and when is the right time to sack a manager, how, when, and who to get the correct manager in. And even if you get a manager in, like I've said, the structure of this club is not football. The structure of this club is business.
Yeah.
So any manager that comes in, he will have success to a degree. But the success that you, Owen, and I want for this club, he will not have, because he still has to answer to a board and to an upper structure that dictates and is the gatekeeper of most of what he does. And they're not really here for fucking football.
No.
They're here for the business. Now,
Yeah,
if you
exactly.
had owners that were here for the football, back in the day, I screamed it. I was like, keep Ed Woodward, let him stay. However, put Ed Woodward where he is best at. Put him over in advertisements, brand equity, partnerships. Put him on that side. Let him do his thing, which he did, right? But Ed Woodward's not a footballer, so
No.
why would you have Ed Woodward overseeing football operations? And this is what I'm talking about. When the club is not structured for football, when the club is structured for football, you have a DOF correctly, you have recruitment correctly, you have a DOF that works with the coach, works with recruitment, works with players. Are we getting a certain type of player? Before you come in here, you need to tell me what style of play you are intending to play, because that's going to dictate the type of players you have. These are all very, very basics that United isn't doing. And
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest, Tiger, for saying that Ed Woodward should stay at Manchester United, even in the marketing department. It's an early sin bin. We can't take it. We can't. No. Can't take it. I mean, it was an old opinion, and he's gone now. But I got some shivers. I got some. Oh, look at that. That's just. You know, I was with it. I was with it. I was with the presentation. I was about to say I'm in. You know what I mean? Like in Dragon's Den, Shark Tank for the American viewers. I was gonna say I'm in, and then you know, it was. But I do agree with what he was saying about the way that the Manchester United is operated, and the business comes first and the football comes last. So big up Tiger for calling in as well. Let's get to one final call. Let's go to Courts. Courts, what are your thoughts on the result this evening, and what are your thoughts on Erik ten Hag and his future?
First, I'd like to congratulate Bayern Munich for winning the Champions League in 1999, because clearly performances make results, as what Charles said, and instead of the actual result of the game. So yeah, well done to them. But
I tell you what, even for me, that's some strong sarcasm. I love it.
But no, I see him going. I don't think he should, but we've all seen the telltale signs of what happens with Man United managers. It's heading there.
Is that what you think? Do you think that, like some of the people were saying earlier on, we're in sort of the end game territory at this point? In that, yes, he's not going to get sacked tomorrow or anything like that, but we're back onto the cycle and we know how this ends.
Yeah, it's like we've kind of read the book before. We've seen what happens, and we're getting all of those signs. And you're like, I don't see the point because the issues are way bigger than him, and he does deserve criticism. And I think it's okay. I think criticism doesn't mean we need to get rid of him. He does deserve criticism because some of the decisions aren't making sense. The performances aren't making sense, but we know that we'll get rid of him and we'll be in the same place that we are right now. In 18 months' time.
It's true. It is true. I mean, what do you think about some of the players individually? Do you think that the players are still playing for him? I mean, obviously he rotated a lot tonight, but we've seen similar performances in back-to-back home games with different players playing. Do you think he's still got a grip on that dressing room, or do you think, they've started to give up on him?
It's hard to say this, but so many people are saying get Bruno and Rashford out of the team, and I think it was right for them to be benched, but they were benched, and did it really look different?
No, not really. And then in fairness, when they came on, it didn't look any different either.
Did we actually look like scoring today?
No, not at all.
Like, we don't, when a team scores, we're like, that's it. We're not, because we can't really score more than one goal in a game. And that's it. We didn't look like scoring. The midfield just always looks open. And yeah, I don't know where the players look like they phoned it in, the low. I could see that for their first goal. You could see the run. And you're like, come on, track him. And it's an easy goal. And you're like, yes, Garnacho shouldn't lose the ball there, but it shouldn't be that easy to score. We're such an easy team to play against. We're an easy team to play against.
It's true. I mean, we got Fulham at the weekend. It's away as well. I mean, do we? I say that. Do we have any chance? I mean, we're still Man United, but how do you predict that one goes at the weekend?
Even if we were to get a result from the game, it's not going to be a fun watch.
No, and also, does it? I mean, look, obviously we've got to win, but if we do win, does it still really change anything that much? I mean, because if it's a similar win to like we did against like Brentford and all that, does it really change anything? Or are we at that point where like, he's not going to get sacked, but we're already nearing that, beyond the point of no return anyway?
Yeah, I think grand scheme of things, I don't think it would change anything. But I definitely think we should be keeping him because one, who do we appoint? And two, we've seen the cycle before and it's not worked.
Yeah. No, it's
but
true.
Yeah, I can't not want my team to win, and I always like, because right now, if you ask me, am I going to watch the Fulham game? I'm going to be like, no. But come Saturday, I'll be there. I'll watch it.
There you go. That's what we like. That's the mentality we need, certainly. Big up Courts for calling in there as well. How many likes are we currently on at the moment? We're currently at 220. I was going to say if we get to 500, we'll win at the weekend, but we're not going to get to 500, so we won't win. So if you haven't already, click the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well. Bottom right-hand corner. I think there's a couple of super chats as well before we wrap things up. Where are we at? Game Fanatic says to Charles, sack Eric Ten Hag, fine, but get who? No solution. Which is kind of, I think, how I kind of feel about it. Yeah, okay, we'll try and get De Zerbi. First of all, we'll spend a ton of money sacking Ten Hag. I've spent a ton of money getting De Zerbi. And then if it's not him, someone else, interim to the end of the season, whatever. And maybe things might change. I mean, look, we've had the both sides of the interim bubble, haven't we? We had the interim with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, where performances turned around and we played great, and we still didn't qualify top four. We kind of fumbled it when he became the permanent manager at the end of the season. But we play well, and suddenly everyone's really happy. And it's it was great. See, it was the manager's fault. And then we've had the opposite when Ralph Rangnick was the interim. It just got worse, progressively worse, and it was just rubbish. Look at Spurs last season. Got rid of Conte and had the interim of his right-hand man. It got worse. The interim got sacked, which I thought I'd never see. And then they had Ryan Mason towards the end of the season. And again, it was flat too. And okay, even if we get on that route, probably won't get much better. If we bring someone else in, is it going to get much better? Maybe it might get immediately, but we know 18 months time we'll be here again. We'll be having these conversations again, and people can say, oh, you don't know that, but we do, because we've done this. We have done this over and over again. And just like Erik ten Hag, we say the definition of insanity is picking the same players over and over and over again, expecting different results. That's also the definition of insanity when it comes to fans calling for managers to get sacked and expecting something to change when there's actually no real change going on as well. K-Flow says, like most callers have said, the structure is terrible. We still have coaches from different eras and most are amateurs. Remember when I took a stray at Huddleston? Fundamentally, it's not about him, but the whole. I mean, I think it was the Athletic wrote before, didn't they? They said something like the recruitment department, I think, as well, has like scouts from all these different eras, and like I think the recruitment department was overhauled by Van Gaal, the sort of medical department was overhauled by Mourinho, or something like that. Like, it's just a mishmash. Manchester United is truly a Frankenstein in every sense of the word. You know, just a mishmash of body parts masquerading as a human being, or in this case, masquerading as a large football club. Whereas in reality, again, it's just this giant monster that keeps getting shocked back to life by the owners to make some money, even though that there's really no pulse and there's no soul involved in all of it. That was gone a long time ago. That's probably the best way to describe Manchester United, certainly, isn't it? But there you go. What a nice night. It was a nice note to end the night on. What's on tap for the remainder of the night, the remainder of the week as well? Of course, if you do want to get more reaction after tonight's events, if you're up for it, you can check out all of the fan views from inside UVHQ as well as outside Old Trafford. Of course, the full panel are still there inside UVHQ, giving their thoughts. KG, Raf, Micah, and Marcel. Obviously, you can check out Flex outside Old Trafford too. I'm sure he spoke to a plethora of fans as well. John Shin is going to have his say. He's got his fan view. That's going to be going up shortly too. Tomorrow morning, I'll be live 9 a.m. as per usual for Match Day Reloaded. So be sure to join me then. We can relive it all again. Maybe with a bit of extra context, with maybe some stories, some quotes, and some reaction there as well. Have a good Wednesday evening, and now we turn our attention to the weekend, and we do this all over again. I'm out of here. Peace.